Hi, I'm Cameron Farmer, host of Kingspirit Travels and Cameron's Pantry. In this episode, we'll be doing a fruit-filled oatmeal bar. I hope you can tune in right after this. Welcome back. We're going to do a fruit-filled oatmeal bar, and I brought out the big weapon right now. That's my food processor. We're going to chop up some oatmeal, make it kind of fine so we can make our base for the oatmeal bar cover as well as the base. So just give me a minute here, and here we go. Get our oatmeal, which I have in a bag. Usually I put it in a container so it's nice and fresh. But since this bag is already open, it's still fresh. What we're going to do is put in 1 3/4 cups of oatmeal. And the food processor. And we're going to chop this as fine as we can. So I'll put this on, up this way. I always get this. There we are. Okay. And we're going to add the same amount of flour. And we have that's a 1-inch scoop, 1 cup I should say. There, just about. There's the 1. And 3/4 would be roughly that much. Mixed up again just a little bit. After that, we'll transfer this to a bowl. Just put that in the bowl here. Pardon me for causing noise, but got it. And of course I got my knife. Have that right there. Okay, and in that we'll be adding a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Half teaspoon of vanilla. Just like that. Then we put in half a cup sugar. Usually brown sugar would be better, but since I don't have any on hand, I'm just using the half cup here. The original recipe calls for 1 cup, but of course, I don't need a lot of sugar. I'll wash this up a little bit here before adding 1 cup of our Smart Balance to that. And this is going to be our topping. Just need a whisk here. A wooden spoon, whatever. You're going to mix this all together. And this will be set aside. Just a little bit until we can get our little baking pan and make our base. Because I have already pre-made a fruit filling, put it in a jar, and it's in the refrigerator. As soon as I get this looking good, the way it's supposed to be, we'll move on to the next step. And after mixing it all in a bowl, we get it to this consistency. And when it's done like that, transfer it to one of our baking balls. At least, just a second here. I just said baking balls for some reason. I have no idea. I wanted to say baking pan. Anyway, we get it to about like that, and we'll put it in our baking pan. Okay, once we have our 9-inch baking pan, which we're going to use, just going to add in a tiny bit of vegetable oil, just a tiny bit. Work that in on the bottom, the sides, there we are. I'm going to get it to around the edges. There we are. My hands off. What we do now is take half there we are. Take half of this. And what we're going to do is just press it out flat, well, as flat as possible. I know some of it's going to be just a little bit crummy. That's kind of par for the course when making fruit bars, because sometimes when you're baking, it's not always going to be perfect, but at least it'll do. There we are. possible, you can probably just take a little bit to cover the edges. Keep pressing it, expanding it. There. Now to do it, it should look like that, more or less. And now for the fruit filling. If you don't have a food processor, you can actually use a small blender to put that in together, including any fruit you may have, to make the filling. And pardon me while I check up on the oven. It's going to be set at 350 degrees. There we are. And what we do next, spoon. What I did with this, if I can open it, use a, come on, open, 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 yeah, gotcha, yeah. All I did was get some apple chutney, and I have, let's see, what else have I mixed in here? I did apple chutney, plums, and I believe figs as well. You can just keep this in a jar, you know, like that. Blend it in the blender, and you have a nice fruit filling like that. All you do, just start filling it around. Just like that. And as soon as that's done, I'll put the top on it, the topping, I should say, on it. But I'm going to show you how to do it in an easier way, rather than just, a hard way that I had done one time, in which I decided to put it all on here and pressed it out. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something just a little bit different. A bit of a shortcut, takes a little while to do, but it turns out much better in the end. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Set out a nice sheet of paper, if you can, or wax paper if you have on hand. I tend to use this because, well, A, I don't have any wax paper, and B, this was all I had available. So you always do what you can with what you have. Now, what we do now is get the rest of this on top of here. Start pressing it out. Use your hands, of course. Try to get it as large as possible in order to cover the fruit topping, which we had in our baking pan. Probably get this out almost to the size of the hand. Keep pressing it, compacting it. Turning out better. Okay, and I think I got it to about as big as I can get. Then you want to put your baking pan right here, and you're going to slowly but carefully do this. And if I can get this just right, it should slide. Let me get my spatula here, just so I can start on it a little bit. Because this is going to take a little bit of finesse. There we are. And a little bit of luck. Alright. Let's try that now, shall we? If it does start to crack, it's okay. It is sliding a little bit, so hopefully I can get this right. If I can't, well, I can actually do it another way, but I really don't want to do it that way. Folding it, as I said, this takes a little bit of finesse and sometimes luck just to get this right. Okay, now I'm going to do it. I'm just going to flip it on. Ah, almost. Almost got it. Almost got it. Okay. I know it looks bad, but hey. If I had wax paper, it wouldn't leach through and pick up some of the dye. And it did, I'm sorry to say. But it won't hurt you. Set it in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. Now, ta-da! That's what it looks like. Cut it like tic-tac-toe, if you will. All you have to do is just, as soon as it cools down, just cut the bars as big as you want, like that, and it'll be ready to eat as soon as possible. So that's about it, and that's what's cooking. in Cameron's Pantry.